Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Paddy G YouTube channel. As always, if you do go on to enjoy the video, make sure you smash that cheeky little like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave your Queensland State of Origin side for Game 1 2023 down below, because that is what we are talking about today. It is currently Monday the 15th of May at 9:37 AM, almost exactly a week from this recording. Queensland will name their Origin team for Game 1. New South Wales will also name their game on the Monday this year. So this week is finally the week we talk all things Origin. I jumped the gun a bit early last year with my 2022 Origin teams, and there were a few players that missed out, one notably. So we're going to get into it. Obviously, I'm a filthy cockroach. I love the New South Wales Blues. However, I do not agree with the way they've been going, but today we are talking Queensland. This one is probably definitely easier to pick because we know Queensland's philosophy at this point. We know what they're going to be like. Loyalty comes first, so I picked a side that as a Blues fan, I would be terrified at playing. I'm not chucking Ethan Bullimore, the great Ethan Bullimore at fullback. This is 100%. If I was the GOAT fullback in Billy Slater, this is the side that I would be picking. So let's get straight into our 2023 State of Origin team for Game 1. Like I said, drop yours in that comment section below, and let's get straight into our back five. So kicking things off, looking at our back five, looking at that number 1 fullback jersey, it's been the biggest question mark for the Maroons in the lead up to selection. But after his performance against the Gold Coast Titans yesterday afternoon, as I'm recording this, Kalen Ponga, he has to be there. He has to be the fullback for the Maroons, no question about it. Reece Walsh, he has been awesome. So has Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow. But we know how Queensland stick. They're not going to drop, in my opinion, who was their best player last year. I know Carrigan got the Wally Lewis medal. In my opinion, it should have been Kalen Ponga. He was unreal for them last year in an Origin series. So for me, sticking with the Queensland loyalty theme, you do not drop Kalen Ponga, the right winger. He is a lock himself, Selwyn Cobbo. He's going to be a mainstay in the Origin arena for the Maroons. He was great in his first game last series. Unfortunately, missed that incredible decider as he was one of those players who was off early with a concussion. So he is an automatic lock. For the left winger spot, you got guys like Xavier Coates, Kyle Felt, Murray Taulagi. But I'm going to go with a traditional New South Wales thing, and I'm going to chuck a fullback there. I'm going to chuck Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow at left wing, but inside him at left centre, I'm going to pick Valentine Holmes. I think Holmes, while he hasn't been as good as he was last year, he was arguably one of the best players in the competition. When he puts on that Queensland jersey, even when he came back from the NFL and the Cowboys were struggling, he was an absolute weapon. Now, I like having these two on the same side because we've seen Val as a winger in Origin. He's been a freak. We've seen Hammer in the centres in Origin, and he's really the only player ever in Origin to contain Tommy Turbo, and that was when he was in poor form. Now he's arguably a top 5 form fullback in the competition. So you could swap these two. You could go the Hammer in the centres. You could put Holmes on the wing. In fact, you could probably swap them all game. Going back to the right-hand side, I'm going to partner Dalen Ponga at fullback, the Hammer and Valentine Holmes on that left edge, and on the right, Gagai and Cobbo, he's on the wing. So there's my back five for the Queensland Maroons. Moving on to the halves, and this is probably the easiest part of the video. Cameron Munster and the GOAT DCE. No questions about it. This was always going to be the case. DCE, he's probably in one of the best form runs we have ever seen. Without Jake Trbojevic, he's almost filling in that role. I know Manly haven't been great, but without DCE, that team would be at the bottom of the ladder. He has been phenomenal. I think he's still pretty high on the Dally M's for a team that's coming 12th. And Cameron Munster, he's your first pick for Queensland. These two, they're not going anywhere. And a team that has been bad on paper compared to the Blues in recent years, these two have been mainstays. They've been arguably the reason why they've been going so well. Cameron Munster, he is one of the best players in the world. DCE, last year, Game 3, one of the best performances by a halfback in Origin history. So they are locks for the number 6 and the number 7 jersey. Now this is where things get a little bit tricky for the Queensland side. Last year, while I did just talk about Kalen Ponga being the Queensland Maroons' best player in the 2022 series, their forward pack was the main reason Queensland won last year, and holy hell, is it bloody stacked once again. It's the part where I feel that even some of these bench players, some of these guys who don't even make this side, could probably fit into the New South Wales pack. That is how much of an advantage I believe Queensland have. Let's get straight into one of the locks for the front row. That is Big Tino. Big Tino for Sun Malawi. Still can't say it. I don't know why. I can't still say it. Sorry, Tino. Big Tino. He's got to be there. He's my absolute lock. For one of the starting front row jerseys, he was absolutely phenomenal last year. He's got great go forward. He never misses a tackle. He puts 100% in every week. One of the emerging forwards in the game. You could argue he's probably one of the best middles in the competition, especially on form. Even when the Titans aren't doing well like they were in 2022, he came into Origin and he was an absolute freak. So he is a lock. The other front row, there are some contenders. You've got Lindsay Collins, you've got Tommy Flegler, you've got the incumbent Josh Papali'i, but I'm not picking any. I'm bringing back one of the best for Queensland in 2020, one of the unsung heroes in 2021. I'm bringing back Christian Welch his past few weeks for the Storm, including some of those poor losses. He was unreal. The way he single-handedly went after those Brisbane Broncos forwards last week was incredible. Considering his age, considering where he is, he went after Payne Haas, he went after Paddy Carrigan, and he almost single-handedly took down that pack without any help from a guy like Nelson Asafa-Solomona. He was an absolute weapon. So he comes straight back into my front row. Josh Papali'i unfortunately misses out on his starting spot. He only played 18 minutes last year, I think, in game one. And Christian Welch, I think that's his jersey before Papali'i's last year. Billy Slater, he's involved with the Melbourne Storm. He knows how good Christian Welch is. He'll probably be the co-captain or the vice-captain to DC more likely. So he's in there. My number 9, no surprises, Ben Hunt. Now, you could make the argument based on his form. It hasn't been as good as 2022. Maybe you could rip the Band-Aid off and chuck Harry Grant in that number 9 jersey now. But I like Ben Hunt still starting the match, Harry Grant coming on and playing the rest of the game, and then Ben Hunt can come on at lock like he's done in the past. Maybe if you suffer a HIA or in the halves or the back line, then you could chuck Ben Hunt in there. But for now, I like Ben Hunt starting at number 9. In the back row, another pretty similar situation. Obviously, on the left, I'm going to go David Fifita. Kurt Capel's the incumbent, but David Fifita, he has rediscovered the form that put him on $1.2 million when he signed for the Titans. It's almost like ever since he re-signed and ever since this sort of contract talk has gone away, he's turned into an absolute freak. I never thought he dropped off too hard. I just always thought that we compared him too much to that price tag. He has been an absolute freak. He's been one of the best forwards in the competition. So he's got to be there. And as a New South Wales fan, I am praying that they don't get picked. But David, mate, I hope you get your 30 grand payday. On the right edge, Felice Kafusi. He is a beast. Finn Diesel, you got to pick him. Him and DCE have made an incredible combination at Australia until the previous World Cup. And for Queensland, he is arguably in career best form. Who would have thought it? We all were saying, Melbourne, this was probably the right time to move on some of these key forwards. Look at how well the Dolphins are going. Look at Finn Diesel. And he has been a big part of that. Some of the games this year, he cracked Sam Walker, he cracked Brandon Smith, and then the Dolphins ran away with it. He cracked Jack White, and he cracked Hudson Young, and they beat the Raiders to start the year. I know he hasn't been as good since that suspension, which was, very controversial to say the least, but Felice Kafusi, he's a lock for my starting back row. So there is my forward pack. I'm going Big Tino in the front with Christian Welch. Benny Hunt's my number 9. And then in the back row, Fifita, Kafusi, and then of course, the lock, no discussion. It's going to be last year's Roy Lewis medal, Paddy Carrigan. Now this is where we move on to the bench. And this is where the video is going to get controversial because Jai Arrow, Josh Papali'i, Thomas Flegler, and Moe Fodawaker are just some of the names that are going to unfortunately miss out on this 2023 Queensland Maroons side because they just don't fit into my 4 bench spots or my 18th man. I honestly think that, unfortunately, it sucks to say, there are just too many young guys that are in front of him, including that list, Ruben Connor, one of the best Origin debuts, but I just don't have room for him. He doesn't make up what I want on the bench if I were a Queenslander. So those guys who I think could arguably be in the starting side for New South Wales are not going to be featured on this Queensland Maroons bench. So let's get straight into it. Number 14, I've already pretty much said this. It's got to be Harry Grant. You could make the argument he just should be the time for him to go into the number 9. But I just don't think his form has been electric enough to start him and make him play 80 minutes. I still think the best thing that they can do is start Ben Hunt and bring Harry Grant on to finish the game. Play for 60 minutes and then Ben Hunt pretty much goes into that utility role. Now, we have 2 middle forwards. I've got a prop and then I've got a bit of a hybrid. I've got they can play prop, lock, and a bit of back row. The first one, number 15, the outright prop is Lindsay Collins. Was brought into the Origin setup in that 2020 year where they had Corey Allen in there, and that's no disrespect to Corey Allen, but in a Roosters side that has struggled for the most part this season, Lindsay Collins has been an unsung hero. I think long term he's going to be the guy to replace Christian Welch and partner Big Tino. Maybe they go with Papa E. If so, it's the same thing. He'll be the guy to replace whoever's there, and it'll be him and Big Tino. Tino for Malawi starting at the props position for Queensland going forward. So for that reason, I've got him in jersey number 15 off the bench. Number 16, I'm so shocked. Honestly, I'm shocked. That is why I stumbled just there, because I'm bloody shocked that this guy hasn't been to most people's teams. Tom Gilbert. For mine, the best player for the Dolphins, for the Finns so far in 2023. He is a top 5 lock. He's probably a top 3 lock on form at the moment. There was even a point where I considered him starting at 13 and putting Paddy Carrigan in the front row. That is how good he is going. He hits hard. He's got an offload. He's got a bit of ball playing, but he is just a tough bastard. Imagine bringing him on off the bench to target those tired Blues middles. He would be an absolute handful. He's the hitman. He's Queensland's Jake Trbojevic, but he's actually got a bit of dog in him. He's not Mr. Nice Guy. Even though we'll get to New South Wales in a couple of days. My final bench spot, we're going back to loyalty. I picked Kurt Capewell, a guy that could fit in the back row. He could play middle if you need him to, but he can also cover wingers and centers. HIAs and HIA cover is more important than it ever has been, so you need guys to cover positions. So Kurt Capewell is my number 17. At 18th man, look, I think we've got all positions covered, so I'm just going to go with the next best player, and I'm going to go with Reece Walsh. I feel really bad leaving Reece out of this side if he was in a Blues jersey, or eligible for a Blues jersey rather, and this was the New South Wales side. He'd probably sack Caleb Ponga because that's the way we roll, but I just think Queensland, they're going to stick with their guns, and I think that Reece Walsh should definitely be the 18th man. He can play 6, he can play anywhere in the back line, but there you go. My Queensland Maroons 1 to 17. Let me know in the comment section below. Do you think I'm sabotaging Queensland, or do you think that this is the side that Billy Slater will select? To reiterate, here we go. Here is the full team. At fullback, Caleb Ponga. On the left wing, Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow next to Valentine Holmes at left centre. On the right side, we're going Cobbo next to Gagai. The halves pick themselves. Munster and DCE, my forward pack. In the front row, Big Tina for Malawi and Christian Welch. Benny Hunt, he's going to be the starting number 9. The back row, got Fafita on the left, Kaufusi on the right, Paddy Carrigan, he's my number 13. And then on the bench, Harry Grant at 14, Lindsay Collins at 15, Tommy Gilman in 16, Kurt Capewell in jersey number 17, and my 18th man is Reece Walsh. Like I said, leave a comment. Am I sabotaging Queensland, or am I just a bigger red-headed version of Billy Slater? Smash that like button. If you enjoyed the video, guys, I apologise about me throwing, because it just started to die when I recorded this video, and maybe I could feel coming down with something. But ladies and gentlemen, I'll let you know. Follow me on Instagram. I've never plugged that before, but just do it. Subscribe if you haven't already. I think I've said everything. So yeah, I'll leave you alone. Let me know, do you agree or not, and I'll see you in the next one. Friday night.